friends, it's Mari here. Happy World Cardmaking Day. This is such a fun day for paper crafters, and I'm going to be making this card that you can see here on the screen. I'm going to be using a gorgeous exclusive stamp and coordinating die set from Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. This is called Change the World. You can just see all of the beautiful images and sentiments that are part of this set. There's that gorgeous world with all of the florals and then some individual hearts and florals and leaves. These sentiments are absolutely beautiful, and there is a coordinating die set, which is so fun. And here you can see this die that completely cuts out that large image, and then there's individual dies for all of the other images in the set. So really, really super fun. You can purchase this on the Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine website, and there will be links to all of that in the description box below. I'm going to be using an A2 size top folding card base here today. You can see the card base here that I've cut and scored for my top folding card. This is 5.5 by 4.25, and of course scored at 5.5 for this top folding card. What I did was I used an embossing folder for the front of this card base. I'm going to show you that that embossing folder here right away. I'm just showing you how I scored that in half. And then of course this is again 4.25 by 5.5. So this is the kind of like a Swiss dot embossing folder from my stash that I used to create some texture on my card front. Love embossing folders. They're just really fun tools to create cards with. And I've got that all embossed on my card front here. And now what I'm going to do is use that large die from the die set to cut out sort of like a little peekaboo element on my card front. So I'm just going to put that onto my Wendy Vecchi Make Art station here. And I'm just using the magnet to hold it down to my mat. And I'm just going to grab some tape. This is low tack tape. And I'm going to just tape that die down to the front of this card base and run that through. But of course I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine open because I only want to cut through just that top layer of cardstock. Now I've got this folded so that the opening is on the top there that I just die cut. I've got it in my mini MISTI, and I'm going to place the stamp into that opening so that I stamp in exactly the same place on the inside of the card where that opening is, so that just creates that peekaboo effect. So now that I've got my stamp placed in the right spot on my MISTI, I can go ahead and close up the card so that the inside of the card is exposed, and I'm going to stamp that image on the inside of the card. So I'm going to use some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is just a really nice crisp black waterproof ink. And I'm going to do some watercolor marker coloring here. These are the Caron Brush Marker Pro markers. These are really fun to use. And the paper that I'm using here is Strathmore Bristol Smooth. So it will take a little bit of water. So what you'll see me do here is just put my colors down. I will use a watercolor brush here and there, but not on all of the areas. So you don't need a watercolor brush with these markers, but you can use that technique if you want sort of more of a watercolor look. But you could also just color these in solid. So just a really fun type of medium to use on the Bristol Smooth paper. This is very much like a Tombow marker, or if you have the Zig Real Clean Color brush markers, same kind of thing as those types of markers as well. And I just wanted just some really nice, fresh, pretty bright colors here. This green that I'm using is actually a metallic green, so I've got a few metallic colors worked in here as well, which is kind of fun. And here you can just see I'm taking a really small silver watercolor brush. This is a number 2 round, and I'm just going to use that to help me spread some of those colors as well. I'm going to go in with just a really pretty green tone here and color in the continents that are showing on this stamp. And I'm not going to use the watercolor brush on these areas. I'm just going to go ahead and color those areas in just like I would with any type of marker, and get those all colored in solid. And just love that really bright green. And I'm going to leave lots of the floral areas open with no color in them at all. And I like that look. I think it's nice and clean. I like my white space on my projects, whether it's scrapbooking or card making. And I just think that it just gives it kind of like a more of an airy and clean look. So here you can just see that I'm just going to finish up coloring in that second continent there that's showing. And just these are really, really simple markers to work with. I really love them. I love that the tip on the marker is really, really super fine and pointy, but you can also lay down a lot of color if you want by putting a little bit of pressure on the marker as well. So these are just a really nice tool to have in your stash. I'm going to put a little bit of blue down here for the water. And so you can just see here that I'm going to just put a little line of the blue, and then I'm going to come in with my larger number 6 watercolor brush. It's quite wet. I've got a lot of water in that brush. It's pretty juicy, and it's going to just give a nice pull to that color. It's going to pull it out, and it's just going to create this really nice watercolor effect. And I wanted that kind of dreamy, loose watercolor look for the water area, as opposed to that more solid color on the continents there. So I'm just going to finish that up. I'm going to turn the card and add a little bit more of that blue pigment to the other side. And that's just going to give me, again, just a little bit more intense color closer to the green of the continents there. So it's always good when you're working with water and that sort of thing on your any type of moisture when you're making a card. Just make sure, I always like to make sure I've got some paper toweling nearby to just kind of like dry my area around my card, because you know you don't really want to dip your card in a pool of water. So just kind of doing that as I'm working away here. Now I'm ready to go in with my brush again and just go ahead and pull out that color into the larger area there. And that's, like I said, just going to create this really nice loose watercolor look in that blue area there. I think it's so pretty. And there's a few little bits of water over to the sides of the continents as well. I'll just take my brush and drop some of that blue color in there as well here, just to make sure that that area doesn't get missed. And then that area is going to be all finished up. So really love that look. I love how the details of this card came together. I wanted to add a few vibrant colors to my florals as well. So you're going to see me going in here with this really dark pink, super pretty. I think this color is called rose pink, but I will hopefully list the different colors of these Caron markers in the description box below. So hopefully those will be there for you. If not, you can always leave a comment and ask, and I will drop those into the comments for you. So here you can just see I'm going to just blend that pink in, and then I'm just going to go over to some of the other flowers and just drop in a little color here and there. I think I also add a little bit of pale violet to just bring in a little bit of purple tones as well. So really pretty. Just wanted to kind of create a little bit of color in this beautiful bouquet in this on this world image. I love this. I love this imagery of the planet, and then just the planet blooming, and the sentiments in this set are just so positive and kind and beautiful. I just love this set so much. It is just gorgeous. Love it so much. So just going to go and add a little bit of the canary. This is one of the yellow colors that's in the Caron marker line. And just going to add those in. I do highly recommend these markers. They're beautiful to work with. Just really love them. And so here you can just see that image is all done. And one of the things I wanted to mention is you could actually put this back into your MISTI, and I have not taken the stamp off of my MISTI door. It's in exactly the same spot. You could do some embossing. You can see I've gotten gold embossing powder over there. I was thinking about using that, but I changed my mind and decided just to stamp with black again. But you could totally use your embossing ink and do some embossing over top of this if you wanted when you're done coloring. That would look really beautiful. But I am just going to darken my image up again with a little bit of black. So the beauty of leaving your stamp on your MISTI is that you can just go back and re-ink up your image, or like I said, heat emboss it, whatever you'd like. If you like to have embossing when you're going to do some watercoloring, if you like to have that those embossed lines to help you keep your colors in the little areas, so to speak, you could definitely heat emboss this before you start coloring, and accomplish that. That's what I did with the flowers here. So you're going to see me here stamping out my VersaFine Clair ink in Nocturne again for the hearts and the little flowers and leaves, all of the little stamps that are in the set. I'm going to stamp those out on some more Bristol Smooth cardstock, but this time I'm going to heat emboss that VersaFine ink. The nice thing about the VersaFine ink is that it's a pigment ink. It dries a little bit more slowly, and so you can heat emboss that and you can get that really nice ridge on your image. And I'm going to just go ahead and melt that with my heat tool. And that was clear embossing ink, so you're going to be able to just see right through it. And you get this really nice crisp black line that's raised. And you can see here that I've got those all colored and ready to go. Now I'm going to take the coordinating dies from that set, and I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of low tack tape on each one of the dies to hold them onto my Bristol Smooth cardstock and run that through my die cutting machine. And in that way, I'm going to just have all of these really sweet embellishments for the front of my card. So you're just going to see me here placing those down and then taking that low tack tape and die cutting these. So super easy to do. And what I love about this sort of thing is you just end up with all of these embellishments, and you could stamp this as many times as you wanted. Now I've taken one of the sentiments from the stamp set. This one is Missing You. I stamped it out onto my white cardstock again. I did also do the heat embossing just like I did with the florals and the hearts on the sentiment. So the sentiment is heat embossed, and just with that, again, with that black ink and the clear embossing powder, I have cut that out just into a sentiment strip so that my sentiment is Missing You. I've popped that up on a little bit of 3L foam adhesive. And now I'm just using my honeybee tweezers here to help me place all of these different little bits onto my card to embellish around the large image, but also around the sentiment, just to give it a little bit of detail, a little bit of extra zhuzh, if you will. And so the large heart has a piece of foam adhesive on it, and some of these other little bits I'm just going to add with some glue dots. And just going to go ahead and add those in, and I will do the same sort of thing with those florals and foliage pieces. I just wanted to add this to the edge of that die cut area on the peekaboo element there, just to give a little bit of extra detail in that area as well, just creating that little cluster in that way. I really love how that looks. I think it's just really, really pretty. And just adding this little bit of foliage in behind there, again with a glue dot. And I will add this leaf here as well with a glue dot. I think I do end up repositioning that leaf after, but this last little flower is going to have a foam square on the back of it to pop it up. And then that's about it for the embellishing for the front of the card. So really simple. You could use any one of those sentiments besides Missing You on the inside of the card as well. There's so many great sentiments in that set that you could use for an inside sentiment for your card as well. So totally love that. This is such a versatile set, and it is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to use a little bit of clear Wink of Stella on some of the different images. I'm going to also use some Nouveau Glaze, which adds a little bit more dimension. It dries clear, but it dries very dimensional. I'll add that to a few areas. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of Stardust Stickles, which is one of my favorite Stickles colors. It kind of dries a little bit iridescent, but you can see the color underneath it so that it's kind of translucent in that way. And I just love the effect that it gives. It's dimensional, it's sparkly, it's shiny. Love it so much. So that's going to be the last little bit that I add to this card, and the card will be finished. I enjoyed making this card so much. It was so fun. And this stamp and die set is absolutely, well, as I've said several times in this video, gorgeous, stunning, love it so much. So make sure you hop over to Scrapbook on Cards today and grab your set. Have an amazing day, my friends, and thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a chance to get crafty and do something fun in your craft space, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.